Good evening, Internet world and universe. This is O.R.Ash, and welcome back to the Drawing Matrix. We're trying a new thing, bear with us. People seem to love the last Ultimates video, and 90% of the comments on it were begging for more, so here we are. Same thing, new video. In this episode, we'll be continuing our Ultimates Overhauled series with 5 of the original 10 alien transformations. The same rules apply as last time. Number 1, the color palette of the alien must change, and 2, there needs to be a power trade-off. But before we start, I'd like to clarify a little bit on the power trade-off rule. A lot of people kept saying that I was wrong and not all of the official Ultimates had lost a power in favor of a new one. And you're right. Not all of them did. Essentially, it's supposed to be more of like a general trade-off. Because the alien got a new power, they had to lose something in order to gain it. Echo Echo loses his squishy body and ability to duplicate for a more durable body and projectiles. Spider Monkey loses his tail, but is now able to spew web from his new hinged jaw for more accuracy. And Big Chill loses my respect so that he can look like the mascot for a Hot Cheetos brand deal.
Dangerously cheesy.
Today we'll be covering Heatblast, Forearms, Accelerate, Gray Matter, and redesigning Ultimate Wildmutt.
That's right, I'm getting him out of the way early so I don't have to look at him.
Let's get started.
What's going on, everybody? Frodo Bro here, and I'm here to tell you that Christmas came early this year, and so have I, with the new Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. The Lawnmower 4.0 has advanced skin-safe technology which reduces the nicks and cuts on your balls when shaving, which in my case, I am extremely grateful for. It also has a cool LED light so you can groom even in the darkest of situations, whether you lose power in your house or you're going through a divorce. You have your Crop Preserver deodorant and your Crop Reviver toner just to keep things fresh downstairs. Nice. Smells like pine trees, baby. And new to the package is the Weed Whacker. It uses the same advanced skin safe technology as the Lawnmower. So hairy ears, hairy nose, who needs them? Not you, especially with the Weed Whacker. And if you thought your balls were the only thing that Manscaped cared about, I'm here to prove you wrong. Introducing the Shears 2.0 Luxury 6-piece stainless steel nail kit. Now you can look good and feel good from head to toe. If you're still looking for that perfect Christmas gift, don't settle for less. Try the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. For a limited time, you'll get 2 free gifts, the Shed Travel Bag and Manscaped Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs. So what are you waiting for? Head over to manscaped.com right now and use promo code INKTANK for 20% off your next order, plus international shipping, plus 2 free gifts. Manscaped, baby. Your balls will thank you.
Shooting flames, I can definitely do.
First up, we are talking about the OG alien, Heatblast. So this Heatblast that I'm working on today is actually a reworked version of an Ultimate Heatblast I had made a couple years back before I was even a part of the Ink Tank. Essentially with that concept, I wanted to turn Heatblast into a giant volcano man, replacing his fire with lava, and giving him a cool ability to where he could like make lava weapons and stuff. I never really had solid thoughts on exactly how the design would balance and the differences between the original, like how I do with Ultimates now. So the main thing I wanted to do with this Heatblast was completely upgrade him. Take his rocky body and make it into solid metal, and take the fire parts of his body and make them like a liquid metal magma. Really, with this design, it was fashion over function when designing it the first time, and I really wanted to go for that kind of gloopy lava look and made it look like he had kind of dreadlocks of lava coming off of his head, just because I thought it looked really cool. But while changing the design up and trying to make new elements with the body, I think I finally found a way to make his powers work. He is able to take the metal of his body, superheat it, and shape it into different types of weapons and throwable objects. The trade-off for this Heatblast being, now that he has a lava and metal body, he doesn't have it of solid fire anymore, so he can't projectile shoot fire. He can pull off chunks of lava and chuck it at you, but he can't shoot a flamethrower anymore. And because he can no longer do that, he no longer is able to fly. Well, until Ben figures out another way to make him fly. Other than that, here is my first concept at an Ultimate Heatblast. Next up, we're talking about another Heatblast. As many people saw from the first video, I sometimes get multiple ideas for Ultimates, and I can't control myself, so here's another Heatblast design. This one goes in a little bit different of a direction. With this Ultimate Heatblast, I wanted to think more on the side of how he would actually benefit evolutionarily. One of the things that is his biggest weakness, in Omniverse at least, is the Crab Dozer. Crab Dozer is a Nemetrix alien that is just this giant crab rhino thing that is fireproof and pretty much everything proof, and doesn't seem like it's very easily killable, and those dudes can just chomp down Pyronites in a single bite. So I kept trying to think how exactly a Pyronite would be able to overcome this giant tanky beast. I wanted this to be a liquid metal heat blast. He's got some parts of his body that are solid metal, like his plating originally, but other parts of his body that are a viscous liquid metal that is superheated, and he can like whip around as tendrils, kind of like how the Kevin 11,000 tendril was. I also really wanted to give him like a skull design, like a skull and crossbones to incorporate like, oh yeah, he's poisonous. It's just a fun little thematic thing. And I actually started coming up with the full design before figuring out evolutionarily how exactly he's able to poison. And I thought, hey, he's metal already. What's a poisonous metal? And I immediately thought, mercury poisoning. When this version of a Pyronite gets chomped down by a Crab Dozer, that Crab Dozer then immediately gets like a 12 times dosing of mercury poisoning and dies. Long and short of it, this is a liquid metal mercury based heat blast. He's still superheated, but his body itself is made almost completely out of metal instead of rocks and plasma or fire, whatever heat blast is made of. They're never fully clear. Drawbacks for this heat blast are kind of like with the other one. He can no longer projectilely shoot flames anymore, so he can't really fly, but he does have these giant Pyronite mercury metal tendrils that he can use to like lift himself up and fight and all that type of stuff. I still think this is a really fun concept, but yeah, that's about it. Here is my second concept for an ultimate heat blast.
They call me Forearms.
Next up, we have Ultimate Forearms. I'm gonna be honest, I was racking my brain for a while, because Forearms himself is a very basic alien. He's got super strength and 4 arms, and that's about it. Couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with an ultimate forearm that wasn't just making him be able to like shoot one of his arms off like a rocket or something like that. So after racking my brain for about 2 weeks, I finally came up with something I thought was interesting. Forearms now has the ability of super regeneration. Now, this idea really came about because I was rewatching some Forearms clips, and one of my favorite is whenever he's fighting Kevin for the first time, and Kevin like grows a fist to punch Forearms in the face, and I wanted that to be Forearms' power. Yes, it's kind of a stupid place to find a power, but hey, I thought it was cool. This Forearms has super regeneration, and with that, he's able to grow multiple limbs at will. If he's being held down by an enemy and it's like being stared or glared at in the face, he grows a fist out of his forehead to punch that guy in the face. He's also able to like overstack muscles to make himself stronger or just more of a tanky wall. Think kind of like the villain Muscular from My Hero Academia, where he's able to keep just making himself stronger by layering on more and more muscles. And with that muscle stacking ability, it does just keep making him stronger and stronger, which is also part of why I gave him 2 toes on the back of his feet now, so that if he's lifting something that's even heavier than what his max out normally is, he has more structural integrity to be able to hold himself up. The trade-off with this Ultimate Forearms is that his default form only has 2 arms now. As far as his color scheme, the reason I made it blue specifically is literally just a callback to Kolar from Ultimate Alien. Yeah, that's Ultimate Forearms.
One accelerated funnel coming up.
Next up, we have Ultimate Accelerate. Now, as a couple people in our fandom know, I did a concept for an Ultimate Accelerate back whenever I did my original Heat Blast one a couple years ago, and I love that concept, giving him the weird shell and long tail and being able to fly by like shifting the shell, and I was going to use that concept in this video, but after like 3 days of trying to redraw it, I don't know why, but I can't draw it. Like I physically can't draw it. Every time I do, the angles don't look correct or it's not the correct shape and just did not work. I reworked it into 2 separate Accelerate designs that we're talking about today. This one being the first. This Accelerate is meant to be a lot bulkier and more of a battering ram. The main inspiration with this design is I wanted to make him a lot more dinosaur looking because he's originally based off of Velociraptor body type. So with this one, I made the size of his head and his tail quite larger, and I made it to where they can actually connect together, so that if he's running straight at something, he can connect his head to the rest of his body and literally be just a solid battering ram. I also put a giant battering ram at the end of his tail because I thought it would be cool to having him just swinging his tail around for like really big attacks and stuff like that. When Accelerate fights, a lot of the time he uses mostly like tornadoes or tripping people up or bashing into them and knocking them over. And I thought if he has a giant battering ram tail, that would be a much cooler, much more fun way he can attack people. The trade-off with this Accelerate is that I actually made him a little bit slower. Yes, I know that's contradictory to Accelerate himself, but I feel like with him being much larger and much stronger, he's gonna get a little bit slower. He's still really fast, but he's not as like time-stoppingly fast as Accelerate was previously. I also took away the balls on his feet to show that he is slower because he physically has to run now instead of just gliding back and forth on them. I was gonna give it an ability to where he could stack up kinetic energy and use it to like rocket himself, but with the dinosaur look and that particular ability, I realized that I was redesigning Accelerate into being Slampeed by accident, and I didn't want to do that. So we got a little bit slower, but bulky battering ram Accelerate. Now, I had said that I came up with 2 Accelerate concepts based off of my original one, so here's the second one. With this Accelerate, I wanted to lean more into the idea of the Velociraptor angle of him, based on scientific study that they had feathers. So I thought, hey, let's give Accelerate some feathers. Originally, this was just me trying to figure out a way exactly how I could make Accelerate fly without that shell design, but I ended up changing things up quite a bit with this Accelerate concept. I wanted to make him a lot more bird-like. His bones are hollow and a lot more lightweight, so he can move even faster than he could before. And he's now decked out with these long quill-like feathers that he can actually charge kinetic energy into. Now, with these charged feathers, he can do 2 different things. One, he can just fire off feathers like projectiles. The second is that he can charge up every feather on himself and fire himself off like a rocket, propelling himself up and flying.
It's running with style.
I had actually worked on this particular concept while we were doing a Patreon stream, so I had a little bit of input from Kuro as far as some design elements and feedback on it, and he was the one that actually came up with the idea to make him solid black and white. The purple bits that are on him essentially are just kinetically charged, just for the fun visual. Other than that, here is my second concept for an ultimate Accelerate.
Gray matter? I said muscle, not minuscule.
Next up, we have Ultimate Gray Matter. Before I talk about my concept with Ultimate Gray Matter, I just would like to preface that when deciding to do Gray Matter for this video, knowing that I was already going to be doing Wildmutt as the redesign of the video, I'm gonna be honest, I forgot that Gray Matter has an ultimate form. Now, my concept, I did pretty much without any influence of the original, so I don't really count it as a redesigned Gray Matter. It's just a concept for an ultimate Gray Matter. The original is not bad. It's not a terrible design. It makes evolutionary sense. I just am not the biggest fan of the MODOK motif in it. Regardless, this concept is offset of Albedo's existing one. I kept trying to think what a fun ability would be to give Gray Matter that was kind of weird, but not in the realm of like physically fighting type abilities, because I wanted him to still be like the brainy guy. He doesn't necessarily have to fight in order to get stuff done. Wait a second, why don't I give him technopathy? That's probably not how you say it. I don't know what the actual name of the ability is, but the ability that Cooper has, where he's able to like communicate and control technology with his brain. I was thinking that with Galvin, if they know that, hey, we're starting to be able to talk to machines, why don't we try to integrate with them more, to control them more? So this Ultimate Gray Matter has technopathy, and he has some sections of his body that are actually galvanic mechamorph DNA, so that he is able to merge himself temporarily with technology to communicate with it better. The reason I gave him the long whiskers and everything is because I thought it would be kind of cool visually to see those like plug into a machine to talk to it. As far as these strange fin arms that I was giving him, that was based purely off of the fact I knew I wanted to take away his legs because Gray Matter is a frog, and I wanted to give him a tadpole looking design because he's not going to be using his legs. I originally gave him a tail in the middle of his body, and it just wasn't really working for me, so I thought, why not make his arms the fins? Why don't we put the galvanic mechamorph designs on those? Because the fins already have the weird little sinew vein bits or whatever. It's a design that kind of just like fell together as I was doing it. I didn't put a lot of thought into it. I think having a third eye is just a fun visual thing with more intelligent characters. Plus, if he is going to like take over technology or something like that, I really wanted his eyes to turn blue like how Cooper's does. In real life, there is this real thing being worked on called a blue brain, the first ever fully digital copy of a human brain, like right down to every little synapse in the brain. Giving him a blue exposed brain was a fun little design thing to go along with the technology integrating into his intelligence. That is Ultimate Gray Matter, my version at least. I think this is a pretty good video so far, which makes me very sad because now we will be diving into the realm of redesigning. And today, the redesign that we are doing is probably my least favorite Ultimate Alien out of all of them. Ultimate Wildmutt. Yay. Not just because of how he looks, but also because he talks. Wildmutt originally does not speak, and they made Ultimate Wildmutt speak because reasons. Looking at the original Ultimate Wildmutt, I honestly tried to decipher what exactly his abilities were, and there aren't really any. So with my Ultimate Wildmutt, I thought of it more so from the stance of just designing a completely new Ultimate and ignoring the original. Part of me was thinking, why don't I just give him eyes? But then I thought, that's in the same realm of thinking of why don't we just make him talk? And I didn't like that at all. As far as a new ability to add on to him that I think would be fun, make his blindness more enhanced, if that makes sense. To put on top of his hearing sonar sight, I also wanted to give him like a scent sight and kind of like a thermal sight, if that makes sense. With some wild animals, they're able to hunt and track based off of residual temperatures left behind by other animals. So I thought it would be cool to give Wildmutt options as far as being blind. He can switch through these different types of sights or even use them all at the same time. Another ability I really wanted to give him a smokescreen ability, but hear me out. He is blind. What would be the most useful thing for something that is blind? To make the things that are attacking him also blind. So giving him this smokescreen ability, he's able to make everyone on the same playing field as him. But oh no, wait a second, Wildmutt is used to that game and can kick their asses anyway. He can create a smokescreen from his gills and his mouth that spreads out just a thick smoke or smog everywhere. With this design, I gave him a lot longer and thicker fur, because that's another thing with some animals. They have longer sections of fur or longer fur in general to sense sound around them easier. I also, of course, gave him tails, because originally with Vulpermancers, as they age, they do grow a tail, so giving just one tail to an ultimate isn't really much. So I gave him 3 tails that can elongate and are prehensile, so that while prey is stumbling around in his smog, he can literally just like reach a tail out and grab them up and pull them to him. So yeah, that is Ultimate Wildmutt. thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed these designs because I spent quite a while on them. These were super fun, but admittedly, I think the gray matter and the Wildmutt were probably the most difficult to come up with something for. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think of these concepts. Also, make sure you check out and follow my Instagram and Twitter, because I'm also going to be posting albedo edits of each of these ultimate concepts that I came up with today. And make sure you look out for some more episodes of the Drawing Matrix. These videos are going to be coming out every now and then, doing more ultimates and maybe some other stuff like redesigning villains or anything else from Ben 10 that I'm just kind of feeling at that moment. As always, I am O.R.Ash and I'm surviving. Are you? Peace.